Hello and welcome to after hours of being sick of work. Because that's essentially what this is. We're starting from episode 0, as you can see by the title, because first of all, I want to introduce the podcast, what it's about, a posting schedule, but also I want to go into why I'm doing this. Actually, let's start there. I know I'm just officially entering the workforce, but I'm already feeling like everything that I do, including sleep and rest, is done just to serve the purpose of work. And if my whole life trajectory progresses in the same way, then soon my whole life is just going to be consumed by work. You ever thought about that? Let me explain. Sometimes it feels like I'm only sleeping to recharge for that early morning shift. And I'm eating sometimes simply because, otherwise my stomach would be protesting throughout that set shift. And there's this thing that people do to not only motivate themselves to work, but also increase their productivity, which is the Pomodoro method. If you're the slightest bit invested in how to be more productive, you've heard of this method. But essentially, it is working for 20 to 25 minutes. Some people take it to 50 minutes, and then giving yourself a 5 to 10 minute break in between. But the Pomodoro is kind of rotten. And that's my hot take on that. The Pomodoro only works for the people that are newly introduced to the method. And the more I work with it, the more it doesn't work. Because sometimes that rest is so brief and quick that to me it doesn't even feel that rewarding anymore. And when I really think about it, it's like we're trying to Pavlov ourselves into liking work, and maybe it works for some people, but not me. If you like it, I love it. For you. Honestly, the world would be such a better place if we have this attitude towards everything. Let me say that again. If you like it, I love it. For you. Anyway, after work, in our free time and in between breaks, what do? We scroll. Yeah. And the more you scroll, the more bored you get. I know it's like entertainment at your fingertips, but have you ever scrolled for 2 to 3 hours and then realized that you just feel empty? Just meh. Oh, forgive. Oh, and yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. Give. Hit the rewind. Give. I'm tired of living the lie. Of trying to quickly correct myself mentally every time I say Jif. Jif is gone. Jif is John. Give is the new normal. Get with the program. Give. Anyway, I was thinking at one point as I was scrolling and getting bored and tired of it, that I just don't want to indulge myself in the passive pursuit of watching other people live their lives. That passivity breeds depression. And it's one of the very powerful quotes from this book that I got. I didn't buy this book. I saw a video recapping this book on YouTube, and that's why I have this extract. But let me read it out to you because I feel like it's hard-hitting. Here it goes. Some people, no doubt, are born and destined to be common, to live out their lives to no significant purposes, but that is relatively rare. Most people have the power to be creative, and some have it in a godlike degree. But many people, perhaps even most, are content with the passing pleasures and satisfactions of the animal side of our nature. They pass their time, day after day, in idle, passive pursuits, just looking at things, games, TV, whatever, or they fill the hours talking, mostly about nothing of significance, of comings and goings, of who's doing what, of the weather, of things forgotten as soon as they're mentioned. Damn. Thank you for the personal expose. Anyway, this is the part where it's the most hard-hitting. To do something truly original and do it well, whether it is appreciated by others or not, That is what being human is really all about, and it is alone what justifies the self-love that is pride. Oh my god, you guys, I do read. Like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. See, Lee Michelle could never. When will Leah Michelle? And everything that I just said is very, this podcast. Because you gotta be a certain level of culture to understand. But for the girlies who do not understand yet, pause this podcast right now. Go Google Leah Michelle rumor. No, actually, it's gonna be better if you go on Twitter and search Leah Michelle illiteracy. Then come back, hit play. Also, the other day I was scrolling Reddit and somebody commented under a picture of Leah Michelle saying, she looks like her head would ring like the church bells if I whacked it. Rotten. Gutted. Twisted. And I'm stealing that. Everybody say steal. Steal. Everybody say steal. Steal. But all that is just to say that I want to be doing something more. It doesn't have to be grand, but if I'm making something that I can be proud of, then I can slowly add to the good pile in the archive that is my life. So, this podcast is essentially me trying to create something so that I can escape that cycle of living towards work and instead work towards living. Oh my god, that was so good. Like, that should be plastered on an entrepreneur Instagram text post featuring like a black and white photo of Robert Downey Jr. or something. Anyway, besides doing this podcast for fun, I've also realized that teaching as a profession for me can be an incredibly isolating experience. Teachers and educators, sound off if you agree. I will be receiving your vibrations from the future. Just sound off in your thoughts. Here we go. I feel like lesson planning, doing reports, and grading papers, all of those things you're doing alone. You're not like working in a team like that. So you're not really interacting with your colleagues in that same manner that you probably would in maybe like an office job. And I know that there are perks when it comes to teaching as compared to an office job, especially in my country. But for me right now, the biggest source of interaction is just when I'm standing on a podium acting out my script in front of a live studio audience, which is the students. So, if you're just clocking out of work and find yourself needing some company, consider this podcast as a way to catch up with a friend. Imagine this podcast as a low-effort conversation at a pub late in the day. Actually, let's do a quick catching up right now. How are we all doing in this post-slap society? For me, I gotta say that ever since the beginning of September until kind of recently, which is October by now, I've been living amongst the citizens of the trenches. I feel like people have associated me with the word trenches based on just the sheer amount of the times that I've said that word. Like, I'm just so trenches vibes. I have cemented my place in the trenches, so much so that the other day I was talking to my friend and I was just saying, you know, if we walk into the Madame Tussauds of the trenches right now, do you think that they'll have a wax figure of me there? And during all of those 2 trenches months, lots of monumental, to me, changes happened. So I got a mole removal, and that mole turned out to be a tumor. And I'm officially growing out my blunt bangs. Like before growing it out, I was thinking, is my forehead okay? Like, is the general public ready for the world premiere of my forehead? But I feel like the bright side of the trenches has been that the release of my forehead so far has been well received by the general public. So that's pretty nice. Despite all the trials and tribulations, my stream of consciousness keeps me entertained most of the time. And I'd like to explore that part about myself in this podcast. And besides that, there will also be commentary on music, entertainment news, the things that I'm interested in, life stories. And I'm just saying this. Expect episode 2 to be tumultuous. Expect guests or to be a guest on the podcast as well, if you're friends and family. Also, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm planning an out of the loop monthly segment where I get you caught up on why you've been seeing some things pop up regularly on your timeline. And in terms of a posting schedule, since I want to keep this hobby enjoyable, I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. Plus, I'm on a free uploading plan. So even though I'm tempted to say it comes out when it comes out, I'm actually just going to say every 2 weeks. How about that? Every 2 weeks, new episodes. I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Like, I've had this idea for After Hours in my brain for almost 5 years now. 5 years. And my brain just goes, flop. Who cares? You're not gonna make it. It's not gonna be anything anyway. Wait, why did that sound like the Lady Gaga thing? Hold on. Flop. Flop. Another flop. No sleep. Next place. But no, in September, and it was around midnight. Oh my god. Teaser for the next episode, you guys. Midnights. Anyway, I was sitting by myself in the dark, and I thought, what if I just do it? You know those late night random energy spikes where you feel like you can take on the entire world? I feel like I had one of those main character epiphanies. And listen, all I'm saying is everybody's got something that they've been meaning to do forever, but they just don't. Because either fear or self-doubt is getting in the way or whatever. If you could take away anything from this, I encourage you to do that thing right now, today. Actually, what a luxury it is to be capable and to have the time and the resources to do something that you want and not just something that you gotta do. So just get on it. Just get on. So yeah, shout out to my friends. Shout out to especially Ian and Vaish, who really put me on this idea. After almost 5 years of conceptualizing, visualizing, and frankly, daydreaming about this, After Hours is out. Please tell a friend if you can. It does help the podcast. And finally, I hope you'll enjoy this podcast just as much as I enjoyed making it. For now, goodbye and good night.